Social intelligence is the intelligence we use with people. But before we understand it, let us ask a question. What is intelligence? If I ask this question to 100 people, most of them will probably give me the same answer. Intelligence means how much a person knows. Or perhaps, how well a person studies. Or how high the person's IQ is. And that is understandable. For generations, we have been trained to look at intelligence primarily through academic performance. The child who gets excellent marks is called intelligent. The student who solves difficult mathematics is intelligent. The person who remembers a lot of information is intelligent. And the person who performs poorly academically is often unfairly considered less intelligent. But human intelligence is much bigger than this. As we have already discussed in this series, intelligence has many dimensions. We are certainly going to see all of them one by one. Right now, I want to focus on the 3 dimensions of intelligence: academic or cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, and social intelligence. I want to make one thing very clear at the beginning. Today we are not talking about social quotient, or SQ. That will be the subject of our future video. Today, I want to discuss something fundamental. What is social intelligence, and how is it different from academic and emotional intelligence? Academic intelligence lets us know the answer of, can I understand? Let us begin with the form of intelligence that we know best. Academic or cognitive intelligence. This is the intelligence that helps us deal with information, concepts, reasoning, memory, problem-solving and abstract thinking. It helps us answer questions such as, can I understand this concept? Can I analyze this problem? Can I remember information? Can I identify patterns? Can I reason logically? Can I solve a difficult problem? This is why academic intelligence becomes particularly visible in schools, colleges, examinations, and professional education. A mathematically intelligent person may be able to solve a complex equation. A scientifically intelligent person may understand a complicated scientific concept. A linguistically capable person may understand and use language exceptionally well. So academic intelligence is largely concerned with our ability to deal with knowledge, information, and intellectual problems. But here is the interesting part. A person can be academically brilliant and still have serious difficulties in life. Why? Because life does not give us only mathematical problems. Life gives us people. Emotional intelligence lets us answer the question, can I handle myself? This brings us to the second dimension. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence asks a very different set of questions. Not merely, do I understand the problem? But, what is happening inside me while I am dealing with the problem? Can I recognize my emotions? Can I understand why I am feeling what I am feeling? Can I regulate my emotional reactions? Can I remain reasonably balanced when I am angry? Can I handle disappointment? Can I manage anxiety? Can I recover from failure? Can I understand the emotional signals coming from another person? And perhaps most importantly, can I prevent my emotions from controlling my decisions? Imagine a person who has an exceptionally high academic intelligence. He can analyze a business situation brilliantly. He can calculate every possible outcome. But somebody criticizes him. He becomes furious. He reacts impulsively. He damages a relationship. He loses an opportunity. The problem was not lack of intellectual intelligence. The problem was that his emotional response took control of his behavior. That is where emotional intelligence becomes important. But emotional intelligence is still not social intelligence. And this is where I want you to make an important distinction. Suppose I am very good at understanding my own emotions. I know when I am becoming angry. I know when I am anxious. I know when I am insecure. I know how to calm myself down. That is valuable emotional intelligence. But does that automatically mean that I understand other people? Not necessarily. And that brings us to the third dimension, social intelligence. Social intelligence lets us answer the question, can I understand people and social situations? Social intelligence is fundamentally concerned with our ability to understand, interpret and respond effectively to people and social situations. Think about what happens whenever you enter a room. You don't need anyone to announce. People in this room are uncomfortable. You can often sense it. You notice the silence. You notice facial expressions. You notice body language. You notice who is speaking to whom. You notice who has withdrawn from the conversation. You notice who is dominating the discussion. You notice who is uncomfortable. You notice who needs encouragement. And sometimes, without anybody saying a word, you understand. Something is not right here. That is social information. And the ability to process and respond to such information is an important part of social intelligence. Social intelligence is not simply being friendly. This is a very common misunderstanding. A socially intelligent person does not necessarily have to be extremely talkative. A socially intelligent person does not have to be the most popular person in the room. And being friendly does not automatically make somebody socially intelligent. Social intelligence is much deeper. It involves questions such as, can I understand what another person may be thinking? Can I appreciate a perspective different from mine? Can I read social cues? Can I understand the dynamics of a group? Can I communicate appropriately according to the situation? Can I handle disagreement without unnecessarily destroying the relationship? Can I understand when I should speak and when I should remain silent? And perhaps one of the most important questions, can I adapt my behavior to the social situation without losing my own identity and values? That is very different from simply being nice. Let us take one simple example. Imagine 3 people are sitting in a meeting. A difficult problem suddenly appears. Person 1 has academic intelligence. The first person immediately analyzes the problem. He studies the data. He identifies the cause. He proposes an excellent solution. This is what we should do. Excellent. That is cognitive intelligence in action. Person 2 has emotional intelligence. The second person notices that everybody is becoming anxious. She recognizes her own anxiety as well. Instead of reacting emotionally, she remains calm. She helps herself and perhaps others regulate their emotions. Let's not panic. Let's understand what is happening first. That is emotional intelligence. Person 3 has social intelligence. The third person notices something else. He observes that one member of the team has stopped speaking. Another person is becoming defensive. Someone else is dominating the discussion. 2 people seem to disagree, but are actually arguing about something deeper. And he realizes that if we don't address the dynamics of this group, even the technically correct solution may fail. He changes the way the discussion is conducted. He brings the quiet person into the conversation. He reduces the tension. He helps the conflicting people understand each other. And now the group can actually work together. That is social intelligence. The 3 intelligences work together. Now look at what happened. Academic intelligence helped us understand the problem. Emotional intelligence helped us manage ourselves and our emotional responses. Social intelligence helped us understand the people and the social environment in which the problem existed. And this is why I don't want us to think of these 3 intelligences as competitors. They are complementary. A person may have one very strongly developed and another less developed. And the consequences can be fascinating. High IQ, low EQ, low social intelligence. Imagine a brilliant scientist. He can solve extraordinarily complicated problems. But he cannot tolerate criticism. He becomes angry whenever somebody disagrees with him. And he completely fails to understand how his behavior affects his colleagues. His academic intelligence may be exceptional, but his emotional and social intelligence may need development. Now imagine another person. She understands her emotions extremely well. She knows when she is angry. She knows how to calm herself. She has excellent emotional awareness. But she cannot understand why people around her behave differently from her. She struggles to read social situations. She repeatedly says the wrong thing at the wrong time. Here again, emotional intelligence does not automatically guarantee social intelligence. And there is another important difference. Academic intelligence is largely about how effectively can I deal with intellectual problems. Emotional intelligence asks, how effectively can I understand and manage emotions of my own and, depending on the model, those of others? Social intelligence asks, how effectively can I understand people, relationships and social situations and respond appropriately? Notice the differences between problem, self, people, and understand that real life requires all three. Do you know why social intelligence matters so much today? We are living in an extraordinary period. We have access to more information than perhaps any generation before us. We can learn almost anything. We can search for information instantly. We can acquire degrees. We can develop professional skills. But despite this explosion of information, we are witnessing conflicts everywhere. Families struggle to communicate. Workplaces struggle with interpersonal conflict. Communities become polarized. People misunderstand one another. Social media amplifies anger, outrage, and misunderstanding. And sometimes I wonder about a fundamental question that each of us must ask. Have we developed our ability to acquire information faster than we have developed our ability to live with one another? Perhaps that is one of the greatest challenges of modern educational systems. We teach our children mathematics. We teach science. We teach languages. We teach technology. But do we systematically teach them how to understand another person's perspective? How to disagree respectfully? How to recognize social cues? How to repair a damaged relationship? How to work with people who think differently? How to contribute positively to a group? These are not small skills. They can determine the quality of an entire life. This is the real meaning and principle behind being intelligent. So perhaps we need to reconsider what we mean when we call somebody intelligent. A person may be able to answer difficult examination questions. But can that person answer the difficult questions of life? A person may be able to calculate numbers. But can that person calculate the consequences of hurting another human being? A person may be able to understand a textbook. But can that person understand another human being? A person may have extraordinary knowledge. But can that person use that knowledge constructively in society? That is where intelligence becomes much more interesting. Academic plus emotional plus social. Perhaps the real goal is not to ask which intelligence is more important. The better question is, how well developed are these different forms of intelligence within me? Because academic intelligence can help me understand. Emotional intelligence can help me manage. Social intelligence can help me connect and function with others. And when these capabilities begin working together, something much more powerful becomes possible. Knowledge can become wisdom. Emotional awareness can become emotional maturity. Social awareness can become meaningful contribution. And that, in my opinion, is much closer to what we should call all-round intelligence. But now comes the next question. If psychologists have identified different dimensions of intelligence, if we can talk about academic intelligence, emotional intelligence and social intelligence, then naturally we begin to wonder, can these different forms of intelligence actually be measured? Can we assign a number to them? What exactly does IQ measure? What does EQ measure? And what do psychologists mean when they talk about SQ? Are these quotients scientifically comparable? Or are we simply putting numbers on concepts that are much more complicated than a number can represent? That is where our next investigation will begin. In the next video, we will enter the fascinating world of IQ. EQ and SQ are not just as popular words, but as psychological concepts. Until then, remember, being intelligent is not only about knowing more. It is about understanding better, understanding ideas, understanding yourself, and understanding the people with whom you share this world. I am Dr. Rekha Kale, and this is my continuing journey into understanding the many dimensions of human intelligence. Keep questioning, keep inquiring, and keep growing.